Yesterday, I think that was yesterday, I had kind of a panic attack. Not a panic attack, but something similar to it. Like, it was a real bad feeling. Basically, it was in the early morning, and there was a motorcycle accelerating outside. I woke up and I was really scared because I really thought that it was like something was happening inside of my room. Basically, I woke up and I saw that my fan was on fire. Because sometimes, like, I remember one time, like, the propeller of my fan was broke, and the propeller get out of its place and it started to hit the protection, the plastic protection that we have. So yeah, and I thought that something had happened, but in reality it was a motorcycle. But I was so scared, I really thought there was something more. Sabrina, she told me, no, it's okay, it's just a motorcycle outside. And even she told me that Livy was scared too. So, but it reminded me of the bad situation that happened in my life, because it's so impressive to compare. It's so different to compare my life now that I don't have depression and my life when I had depression. The mind of someone who has depression is absolutely different from someone who doesn't have depression. The world is absolutely different. A lot of people would say that you are overreacting when you say that you are suffering, but they can't understand nothing about you, because they don't have the feeling that you have. Having depression is the worst thing that can happen to you. One of the worst things that can happen to you. The first time, the worst feeling that I have ever felt in my whole existence. I felt the same feeling more than one time. I remember the first time, then I remember the second time ever, and then the third time I don't remember, but yeah, I do remember the first and the second time ever, the worst feelings in my whole existence. The first time ever, I was the house of my grandmother. It was because back in the day, it was in 2011. My grandmother, she was taking care of me and my brother, and I was 24. No, sorry, I was 9 years old. My brother was 4. It was in 2011, so I was in her house. My brother, I remember when he was a kid, and he would used to be a very troublemaker. He would be a troublemaker. It would be absolutely complicated to deal with him. So basically, we were in the house of my grandmother, and he started to laugh, an evil laugh, like a diabolic laugh. And I was really scared. I knew not only that it was scary, but I knew that something was inside of his body, like a demon had embodied his body. So I knew that something supernatural was happening. I definitely knew it. I was absolutely scared. And back in the day, I didn't have my mother, didn't have my dad, and I had to run away from the house. I remember I left the house, and I left I went to the street in front of our house. I left the street. I started to run, and then my world fell. That was the worst feeling that I have ever felt in my whole existence. A lot of people would say, oh, today was the worst day of my life. Today was the worst day of my life. And then they would say, today was the worst day of my life. They would always would say that. But in reality, they're not meaning what they're trying to say. They're not being honest with their feelings. They are only overreacting when they say the best feeling of my day, the best day of my life, the worst day of my life. But I definitely know what is the worst day of my life and then what was the best day of my life. So the worst feeling that I have ever felt, the first time was this time. I went to the street. I was in the street, and my world fell. I had never felt something like that before. I was only 9 years old. The situation was absolutely horrible. And then the second time was in December 10th, 2016. I was really scared of losing my ex-partner back in the day, so basically I was really scared of losing her, and it was in the afternoon. I was in on my bunk bed. So yeah, it was a bunk bed that I had back in the day. I was starting to cry, and I really felt like the world ending. When I felt the feeling that I was feeling was exactly the same feeling that I was feeling in 2011. It was really crazy because I started to remember, wow, I felt like exactly that same way in 2011, like 5 years ago. Like the first time that I felt this feeling that I have a memory was definitely like in 2011, but the second time it was in 2016, December 10th, 2016. uh, Probably I have felt like I had felt this feeling before, not before, sorry. I had felt this feeling after 2016. The first time was 2011, second time was December 10th, 2016, and then I don't know, when I felt this later, I don't know, but I do remember the first, second time. But talking about living in the old house, because like I was at the house of my grandmother, I remember that in 2011 I was 2011 was the first time ever that I had the opportunity to stay by myself in the house, because like the second floor is the house of my grandmother, and on the first floor is the house of my house. Um, it would be absolutely alone. I remember I would be on the first floor, and I would be watching Cartoon Network, like Kick Buttowski, something like that. Phineas and Ferb. I do remember some cartoons, and this would be the cartoons that I would be watching back in 2011. I remember like sometimes I would go to the bar in front of my house, because I have my house, and in front, literally like in front of my house, 3 meters away from my house. Yeah, only 3 meters away from my house. 4 meters, yeah, 4 or 5 meters. In front of my house would be like a bar, so I would only have to cross the street and go to the bar to buy some waffle. I remember that I would buy waffle. I remember that I would be playing my PlayStation Portable. I remember the day actually, it was in 2012, but I remember watching on live. I was watching on live the press conference between Thiago Silva against Alexander Gustafsson. I watched the whole card in that day. I think that Khabib Nurmagomedov was fighting that day. So yeah, I watched his debut on live in the UFC, and yeah. So basically, I remember watching the press conference, the stare down, because the press conference was in one day, the stare down was the following day, and the fight itself was after the other day. So one day, I think that was on Thursday was the press conference. Saturday, it's Friday was the stare down, and Saturday would be the fight. So yeah, I do remember staying there in my house. I would really be alone. I remember that sometimes I would. I see that this memory that I have right now about saving some money, like fighting for money. Yeah, not only 2010, but I remember that sometimes I would be in my house in 2010, 2011, yeah, something like that. I would be fighting for coins to go to the bar in front of my house to buy something to eat or to drink, and it would be very very horrible. I don't remember. It would be absolutely awful. We don't have a family. Everything falling apart. The loneliness that you feel is absolutely horrible. I do remember too when I had my bike, and probably this memory is from 2010. I had my bike, and then I would go outside with my bike. I remember that sometimes my dad would be teaching karate. He would be in a karate lesson. He would be teaching his students. I don't know if we could say students in karate, but anyways, people would be practicing karate in the garage of my house, and I would be outside riding my bike. Uh, yeah, I would be riding. When I was 9, that was the last time that I played with some kids in the street, because in 2012 I was not playing anymore. 2012 was the best year of my life. Was the best year, yeah. But yeah, I do remember too, like in my old house, probably like I was not even 8 years old when they were painting my house, and even like putting the wood floor in my house. So I kind of remember I remember like the smell of the painting of the paint. Yeah. So the memories that I have there, I have these memories. I do remember. Let me see. I remember like in 2011, I would be on the slide of the square. I remember like we have a soccer field there, and I would be on the top of the slide watching people playing soccer. I remember like sometimes I would buy a drink in the front of the bar. I remember the car that my dad had back in the day. I'm still remembering like the day that my dad bought the car. Like the emotion was really cool. Was it 2008? I was only 6 years old. The car would be in the garage of my family. I remember that my cousin Sarah was inside of the car with me. Like I'm still remembering that. It was really cool. I remember like my dad, he would be like washing the car and doing some things in the car, like while the car would be in the garage. And yeah, I remember these things. I remember like my dad making the car beautiful because he would be passing. I don't know the name of the thing, but he would be passing something on the car to improve the painting, to make the painting of the car look better. And I'm still kind of remembering like the day that was with my, it was me and my dad and my grandfather. We went to the place to buy the car, and I see that I remember like the day that we were coming back home inside of the car. I remember that in the back of the car we have the red light. Yeah, I'm still remembering that. And yeah, it was really emotional. That, yeah, that was really cool. See my dad getting a new car. Nowadays, like when I look back in my life, like I just see like how much I suffered. That nothing worse, nothing like worse. Like definitely, it didn't worse to be alive, to be born in reality. But I hope that I can overcome like everything. The trauma, like the things that happened in my life were absolutely like unbelievable. The amount of suffer that I had, and yeah, the stuff like was really like unbelievable. But I hope that I can overcome all of this. I'm trying to remember like some memories, more memories about like being there. Yeah, the only memory that I can remember right now like would be 2012, because like one thing that I really wanted to have would be like a girlfriend. I really wanted to have a friend like with me in my life, but I remember like 2012, my dad and my mom, they would be leaving the house at 5 a.m., something like that. I remember like my dad with my mom, they would leave the house, and I would be like I remember being in the room, and I remember that we had a mirror in the room, and I like I would be like at a mirror, and I would be imagine like having a girlfriend, but I didn't have a girlfriend back in the day. So, but talking about like 2012, 2013, like I'm still remembering Macro, like the supermarket. It was a real supermarket. It looks like Walmart. Macro would be like the Walmart in Brazil. So I remember like going there because this supermarket we have a lot of things, because like my dad and my mom, they have a bakery, and every single time this market doesn't exist anymore in Baja, the name of the place. But back in the day we had Macro. This supermarket was really amazing, really beautiful. Basically, like I remember going there with my family. I remember like sometime I remember like I would be playing the UFC 2010 in the bakery on my PlayStation Portable, and then my family was saying, "Yeah, we're gonna go to Macro," and I would be like really excited because Macro like was my favorite supermarket ever, the best supermarket that I have ever been in my whole existence. I would go there. Sometimes my dad, he would buy me Biz, the chocolate. Like I really love Biz. Like it's amazing. So we would be shopping. In reality, like the reason why my parents would be going there would be because of the bakery, because they would have to buy merchandise for the bakery. So the best place to go to do that would be like in the supermarket. So yeah, I remember that sometimes we would go first to macro, and then we would go to promo info. I remember that I would be like really amazed. Like I remember like how we would be in the bakery. We would be leaving the bakery at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. we would be leaving the bakery, and I remember my dad would be saying, yeah, so we will leave the bakery and we will go to macro, and then after macro we will go to promo info. Like I would be like really happy, because I would be going to two places that I really like. That would be macro, and then would be like promo info. And also like macro, like I really wanted to have this supermarket again. I would really like to have it again, because in macro we had a restaurant, because like we have the parking lot, and then we have the building, like the main building of macro. But outside of the main building of macro, we would have